Alrighty, another day of releasing capsules of parasitoids in canola paddocks. We're out in central Vic today. The sun is just popping up and the day's about to begin. Let's go. Biocontrols are a key component for how growers manage pests, but like anything, we can get better, and that's what we're trying with this project. We're trying to learn how we can support natural populations of parasitoid wasps, and also what's the effect if we boost these natural populations by releasing some commercially reared individuals. Some of these videos are put together can hopefully give you a bit of an idea of what's involved in these trials and also what we've learnt along the way. Today's release day. We have our capsules filled with parasitoids we're throwing out today. Releasing a bit over 1,000 a hectare. A couple of generations time, they'll do a business to help us protect against pests in spring. So as part of this trial, we're going through and counting what the starting density of aphids are before we release. Today we're only finding pretty low densities of aphids, so roughly around 10 per plant on this canola, and all green peach aphid. We suspect this is actually probably the best time to be releasing these augmented parasitoids out in the paddock, because the goal with augmentation really is to suppress pest populations before the outbreaks occur. So getting these capsules out when aphids are starting to creep in the paddock is probably going to be the ideal conditions to be releasing these parasitoids.
What's the hardest part about doing field work in winter when the crop is really happy? Finding the tram lines that have been eaten. How am I going to get in here? So I'm out here conducting a survey and a release of a biocontrol agent for aphids and canola crops. I've just done an assessment right here, and the plant that I've just counted had 4 green peach aphids on it. It's not a lot, but I know that they are here, so I'm going to release this. And the way we do it is there's maybe a couple of hundred mummies in this. They will emerge and come out these tiny little holes in the top. So what I do is I find a plant and I just put it right at the base of it on a slightly higher bit. There we go. Tuck it in nicely there, and then we walk away. That's all there is to it. So a parasitoid is essentially a species whose reproduction is dependent on another species. And by this, I think alien. So you know that scene in the movie Alien where the alien, sort of kind of like stabs the guy, and then eventually a few days later, it claws its way out of its stomach. That's literally what's going on here, except in this case, the guy's stomach is an aphid, and the monster is a tiny little parasitoid wasp that's only about 2 mil long. So I'm out here searching for these, and I've got an example just here, that little golden ball and that leaf you just see. So that poor sucker used to be an aphid. We now call it a mummy because it's dead and there is a parasitoid wasp developing inside of it. Once that wasp is completely developed and nice and ready, it will cut a little hole in that aphid and fly away and go on and sting a whole lot more aphids. So I found a lot of mummies in this crop behind me. So there are probably thousands of aphids out here having a really bad day.
Now, a really neat part of this project is that the biocontrol system is fairly straightforward, and we have these 3 species of aphid in canola, from our green peach aphid, our turnip aphid, and our cabbage aphid, and these are all predominantly attacked by one species of parasitoid wasps, Diarytella rapi, and we found that 97% of all of these aphid species were attacked by this single aphid parasitoid, which makes things like augmentation much more simple because we have to focus really just on one species of parasitoid.
Tiny black wiggly speck right there. That's what we're out here for. That is Diarytella rapi, a parasitoid wasp. Finding them everywhere.
One of the background drivers of this work is that aphids are among the best species in the world at evolving insecticide resistance, Now, by introducing new tools, this can ultimately slow down the rate that insecticide resistance evolves, hopefully providing a long-term, sustainable and stable solution for aphid pest management.
So I've just released the very last crop capsule. We've released many of these across various sites this year, across Victoria, New South Wales, and a couple in South Australia. And now the reason that we release more is because we want to see if it makes sense to increase the natural populations to reduce aphid numbers by the time spring comes, because we release them in winter, because we want to give them enough time to build up in numbers.
Based on this year's data, I think a lot of the paddocks are going to have enough natural biocontrol to really suppress aphids, but we'll learn a bit more when we come back in spring and see how we go. See ya.